I think it's a lot of dentists. The way I got into this business was having conversations with doctors and just understanding that they really didn't have a plan. They put a lot of effort into building a practice and advancing the practice and growing the practice. But then they come to the point where they want to sell their practice and they don't really plan for that time. They kind of plan at that time. And it could be predicated on an emergency or just that they're burnt out or just ready to, they're done with all the minutia of running a business, because, a successful dental practice, it's not just about drill and fill and doing procedures. It's about managing people and managing the process. And so I think about, it just made me think that, man, there's a lot of answers that they don't have. They've never sold a practice before, and oftentimes they're selling it to someone that's never bought before. And so to try to do that on your own is a little scary, right? And things can go wrong. I mean, even working with us, and having the expertise that we bring to the room and the people that we can bring in to help with those problems, it makes it a little bit, makes it challenging for them to try to do it on their own. Yeah, I think there's a lot of surprises that come along the way. And again, I think expectations are, and trying to meet those expectations. And so I think our job is to try to help them understand, what the seller's thinking, what the seller's brought to the table, how the seller can help them advance that practice once they purchase it. And then oftentimes on the buyer side too, they're wanting to get a good deal. They want it to be their practice. Sometimes they get ahead of themselves. I've had situations where doctors just didn't get along, and our role again is to try to quarterback that and try to get it across the finish line, but manage those expectations. And there's always going to be surprises. I mean, there's emotion that's involved in this. And anytime there's emotion involved, and there's a big number too, right? Let's face it. The buyer's borrowing a lot of money. The seller wants to get rewarded for all their blood, sweat, and tears over the years. And so, again, those expectations, when they're not in alignment, there's always going to be surprises. Trust is critical. I mean, it's the keystone. I mean, we have the trusted transition process. We call it that for a reason because, we want to establish trust and genuine trust, and I think our responsibility is to be authentic and to be genuine. We can't force, our customers, our clients to kind of go through a kind of a shoebox approach, if you will. It has to be on the seller's terms. And we really express that. And I think when you come at it from that angle, this is your practice, your scenario. We want to help you get to where you want to go. And we want you to help you do this on your terms. And just by the trusted transition process, by asking questions and trying to understand what their concerns are, what they're proud about in terms of the strengths of their practice, and then what opportunities exist for the new owner, I think that probably sets us a little bit apart from some of our competitors, and it shows that we are authentic and we are genuine and we truly care. And that always helps, I think, us establish that from the get-go. And if we are responsible and and authentic, then the trust is that's just part of it. And they understand and appreciate it. And it makes it so much smoother along the way because then they trust us to give them the advice that they're asking for. Once the trust is established, and it does translate into them opening up, and it could be even the spouse. I mean, I literally just had a situation where the spouse was working in a practice, and it was as hard for her as it was for the dentist to let go of this family business, and she was really emotional, and there was some tears, and we had to have some conversations. And I said, it's okay to let go, and I think, she trusted me. They trusted me with the process, but I was generally concerned, just because of the way they felt. And I took a lot of time to help talk them and make them feel better about the decision that, not that they wanted to make, but they had to make, and yeah, I've often joked about this and said, maybe we should put on our business card, not just, a practice professional, but we also should put therapist, counselor, grief support, because there's a lot of raw emotions that come with selling a practice and selling a business. And it's real. It really is real. And you think about the dentist that, that's their life, and they built this business, and every time they come in the office on Monday morning, the patients are so happy to see them, the ones that don't mind coming to the dental office. But their patients are happy to see them. Their staff is, doctor, yeah, how was your week? And they feel really good about where they are. And then all of a sudden they're going to sell their practice and give that up and go home. And, so we talk a lot about, kind of what plans are after, they get out of the practice. And, and you can just feel it, and you can tell that, this is how important it is to them. And you have to be, I think you definitely you can't downplay that, because it is a big deal. And I think about, okay, how would I want someone to treat me if I was selling my business and something that was so important to me that I'd spent my whole life building? How would I want that person to treat me, and how would I want them to pay attention just to the little things, not the big things, but just the little things? I think that's so important. I think talking about transition should happen in all phases of the practice. I think the moment that you buy a practice, you should probably think about what your exit strategy is, because you never know what could happen. And you need to be prepared for that flexibility. But certainly in a traditional point of view, a doctor's been working, 30 years in their practice. They're coming to the point of retirement. People are asking, hey, when are you going to retire, doctor? And they've got it on their mind. The moment that they start thinking about, how am I going to transition this practice? They need to talk about it so those fears can go away, and they can come up with a plan. And we can help with that plan. We have our Practice Optimizer Experience program, which is kind of designed, around the 5-year plan. But I really think that, thinking about when you're going to sell your practice should happen, way early on. And that way you can plan for your retirement. You can plan for setting up your will and your trust. You can pay attention to some key indicators in your business of what you should stop doing, keep doing, or start doing. Every business has that and should evaluate that on an annual basis. And the more prepared you are, the better the transition is going to happen. Again, going back to what I said early on, that a lot of dentists kind of plan at that time and not for that time. The ones that do plan for that time, we have a lot better success rate in helping them get a better value for their lifelong work. Well, I think the business from a DSO perspective the market has changed to some degree, where practices that were once sought after by these DSOs that are, say, like $1.5 million and lower. DSOs used to be interested in those practices, and now they're not. They're really interested in the bigger practices. And I think the misconception is that a lot of these doctors hear from their buddies, oh, yeah, I get all this money from my practice. And they're getting letters, and it's just solicitation because, the DSOs are fishing, for certain practices. And there's a misconception that some of these doctors can sell to those guys. Well, it might be a good solution for them. Then again, it might not. And they don't really understand what all the ramifications are, what all the expectations from the DSO might be. And so I think our job is try to help them find out what the options are, whether it's with that particular DSO or another DSO or just maybe to a private buyer. And having someone that's a professional in the business that has seen all those loopholes and has seen all those traps and understands, what they don't know the questions to ask. And we can help them get some answers that they didn't know questions that they had. In my 25-year career in the distribution side of things, what got me going there was helping other people succeed, because there's that, acknowledgement that the more people that you help succeed, the more successful you will become. I really get excited and motivated about helping other people overcome some of their challenges. And I get that way with my son. I get that way with my family, with my friends. I like helping people overcome challenges. I think that's part of being a good leader is helping people do things that they can't do on their own. And I think being a DDS match practice professional, it gives us the opportunity to help doctors understand where they can't go on their own or how they can manage the transition process and come out on the other side and reduce some of those fears and some of those challenges that are going to be presented to them because it's going to happen. It's not easy, and I get a big kick out of that, and I get excited because I was telling one of the other guys earlier today that I feel like I pinch myself, that I get to do this, right? I probably would not have been able to do this if it hadn't been for the 25 years in distribution and understanding the other side and seeing how practices run and the emotions that are involved with that. And yeah, it's fun to close a deal, and get it across the finish line. But it's even better when you're sitting there and you're watching the husband and the wife and the doctor and their spouse just be excited about what their future looks like now that this practice is behind them.